Hey everyone, welcome back to Go Kick Me, your favorite crowdfunding news and reviews channel here on YouTube. So today I'm not going to be doing a crowdfunding review. Instead, I'm going to be tackling the topic of questions you need to ask before supporting a crowdfunding campaign. And I actually called it the top 20 questions, but it's actually more than 20 questions. So anyway, let's get started. So when you're looking at a crowdfunding campaign and you're thinking about supporting it, first thing you need to ask is, who are the people putting this campaign on? Are there any names? Are there any faces? Any links? Any websites? Is the founder or the CEO or whoever actually in the video? Is it really them talking? Is it just a voice actor? And then if you can get info on who the team is behind this project, do they have any domain experience? Are they engineers? Are they fashion designers? Obviously, you want to make sure they know what they're talking about and they have a realistic chance of executing. And then likewise, do they have any track record, both on Kickstarter or IndieGoGo or off of it? So, have they founded a long-running design company? Have they designed watches for a big brand before, and now they're doing their own Kickstarting one? So this makes a big difference. And then obviously on Kickstarter or on IndieGoGo, on a crowdfunding campaign, if they have a track record, that's huge, because that means you can check how that one went. So especially if they've successfully delivered at least once, that's a big, check in the positive column, because okay, people have trusted them and they've actually repaid that trust. And even if it didn't go perfectly, even if it was late, at least they actually delivered. And, what they promised hopefully was what was delivered. So check, the previous ones, check what the comments were like, check if there was an update about when it was delivered, and compare that to when it was promised. So these are all kind of important things to do before you trust these people. And then as far as the product itself goes, see what else is on the market. Is there anything similar? A lot of times you'll find this Sonic Soak. You can buy the exact same product on Taobao. There's things on Amazon that do similar things. I just saw one that I reviewed recently, which was for a wireless charging mug. Turns out you can buy them on Taobao already, and something very similar on Amazon for a fraction of the price that does maybe 80% of the same stuff. So, just compare what the state of the market is before you jump in on something that sounds really cool, but maybe it's already been done. And then, are there any real reviews of this product? So nowadays you see all these Kickstarter projects are putting up all these logos from different blogs and websites talking about their product, but have any of them actually done real hands-on testing with a prototype or, a beta version or a working version, and what do they say? Because there's a lot of these websites where basically if you send them a press release, they'll post it up and they'll talk about, high-level stuff, but they're not actually ever touched the thing. And so even on this channel, I'm guilty of that too, but at least I'm trying to be critical, because I haven't actually physically touched these things, but sometimes you can tell just from the campaign if it's not going to be great. Okay, and then as far as how they're running the campaign, you can also talk about, go look at the comments. Do they actually answer the comments? How many days between answering? I don't really expect them to answer like within 5 minutes, but within 5 days, that would be good. Do they skip a bunch and only answer maybe one or two easy ones? Do they try to address everyone's questions? And then so basically, are they giving real answers to these comments? Do they have a FAQ? Do they do updates? Not just we passed our goal or we made 50% in one day, but actually we've had a lot of people asking about this, let's show you some more, or here's the latest version of the prototype, etc. Likewise, as far as videos go, videos are huge for a Kickstarter campaign. Obviously, you want to have a good, well-done main video, but then also do they have any supplemental videos? Like no frills attached, no cuts, here's the actual thing on a workbench working. That's huge, because at least that it's not just vaporware. And then a big thing that's coming up that I've seen some super backers promoting is the idea of doing live streaming. So especially that makes it much harder. I won't say impossible to fake, but much harder to fake if it's a tech product, for example, is if you can do a live stream and actually do live demonstrations, if you can show someone actually riding on this bicycle or whatever, it just makes things seem much more real, and you're much more trustworthy because you're basically putting up to the test. You're answering questions live. and then even if you don't watch it live, you can at least watch the replay, and you can see real people asking real questions and getting real answers. So for some projects, I've seen this and actually sit there and watch like the whole hour-long live stream, because it's actually pretty interesting to see what people ask and what they show. And you'll find out all kinds of details that weren't mentioned in there. So as far as the product goes itself, here's a bunch of more random questions. Just does the product sound too good to be true? Does it like cure cancer and insomnia and this and that? A lot of these guys just way overpromise, and when that happens, you're just going to be disappointed. Like if it tries to do one thing well, I'd be much more trusting than if it tries to do everything. Is there any warranty? That sort of tells you if these guys are willing to put their money where their mouth is. Another thing, going back to the product concept, is it too complicated? Are they trying to like do everything in the kitchen sink? There was one project I reviewed actually that I liked, was called the Sleep Man, and it's supposed to basically monitor your sleep. It also had many other functions, including one which was to monitor if you're falling asleep while you're like driving. And to me, I was like, wow, that in itself should be the project. That alone as a product is standalone is pretty cool. And I'd rather almost they focus just on that. So that's one example. I don't want to single them out. It happens a lot where people think more features are good, and in fact, it just kind of convolutes things. Target dates are important. Is there a reasonable amount of time to make the delivery target date? Some of these you see where they literally say they're going to deliver within like 2 months of the end of the campaign, and that just seems like a really overly optimistic thing. And if they're giving that quick of a date, either maybe they don't really know what they're doing, or they've actually got the thing already done and they've already paid for it, and they're just waiting to collect your money to actually send out what they've already made. So shouldn't really be crowdfunding in that case. Is their target amount sufficient and reasonable for this type of product? So, you see all these kind of smartwatches and things like that, and drones. Some of them actually do raise, millions of dollars. But the question is, like, what is their actual target? So some of these things, they'll raise $1 million, but their target was like $50,000. And then you have to go back and ask, like, if they only raised $50,000, how the hell were they supposed to develop like a really fancy drone or some complicated, smartwatch wearable device with only $50,000? So that tells you either they've basically already done they've raised money, they've done the development, and they don't really need the crowdfunding to bring it to market, or again, they don't know really what they're doing, and they're lucky that they got 1.5 million. But if they had only raised 100 million, you would have been screwed. So do you want to really trust these people? Another on a similar one is stretch goals. So a lot of the sort of famous implosions of Kickstarter and IndieGoGos that I've looked at, one of the things that screws these guys up often is stretch goals. So they had a pretty realistic, simple thing to execute for the original project, but then they said, hey, if we raise $500,000, we'll add in, 5 more colorways, and we'll do this and that, and yada, yada, yada. And it turns out that maybe they raised $501,000, so suddenly now, instead of doing one color, one simple thing, they've got to do a bunch more. And suddenly their MOQ, whatever, minimum order quantity, is screwed, and they don't have enough stuff, and ends up taking twice as long. So, the timelines don't change when you have a stretch goal. At least, when you put in money, you were promised a delivery date. Turns out after that stretch goal, it's going to take 6 months longer. Is that really fair? Is that a good idea? So be careful of stretch goals that are actually, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it type stretch goals. Next up we have, is there an existing product that... Is this an existing product, I should say? Is this an existing product that is using crowdfunding just for the sake of marketing? I already mentioned this a little bit, but basically there are ones out there where, something that they've built or something they only need like, $100 to actually pre-order, maybe $5,000 to pre-order, but they're trying to raise $100,000 because they're basically just getting pre-sales, and they're using Kickstarter and IndieGoGo as a marketing channel. And to me, that really is against the purpose of them. And if the product was good and they've already built it, they shouldn't basically get you to be using Kickstarter to like pre-collect money. And last but not least, would you be better off just waiting until the product comes out and then buy it? So the whole idea of crowdfunding, as I've mentioned in these last couple questions, is you are supposed to be chipping in to bring something to market, to make it happen. So it's not supposed to be 100% done and already ready to ship out the door, and they're just using it to collect pre-sales. At least to me, that's not the purpose. Some people maybe think that's okay, but not me. And so you're taking some risk when you're doing it, right? And the question is, if they're making something really unique that you really like, or it's in an area that you really wish you had that, maybe it's a bike product and it's something that you as a bicyclist really think would be awesome and you want to make it happen. Okay, so you're willing to take the risk. You're willing to basically buy it sight unseen for the sake of making this thing happen. And that also depends on where in the Kickstarter campaign you are. If you're the first guy in the door, you want to help get the ball rolling, you believe in it, okay, go for it. If they've already raised $2 million to make some widget, they don't really need your money to bring it to market. And so you're basically still getting the risk that maybe they run off with your money, or they implode, or they're sitting on your money for 2 years before they finally get out the door, just to be, whatever, pre-sold, to get maybe a slightly different version than what comes out on the market. Hypothetically, these things should all be coming out to market. So if you just waited a year and a half and didn't give them your money for free, could you still just go buy it in the store or buy it off their website once it's out? And the risk is way, way less than at that point. Plus, you can actually see some real feedback from some real users. So that's always should be actually the first question, is like, why do you need to pre-buy this thing based on some promises online? There are some exceptions. There's some cases, once in a while, like Street Fighter the game, for example, where at least they promise that this is a one-off Kickstarter-only opportunity. So in other words, there will be no online sales after it comes out. To me, that sounds kind of crazy, but that's also a good way to lock you in to support the Kickstarter. So yeah, just be aware of that. There are some cases, but otherwise, I think 9 times out of 10, 95 times out of 100, you can probably just wait, and you'll actually get it when it's actually ready, not when they promise and then make you wait. And you keep your money until it's ready, not the other way around. And maybe it's actually in a store and you could actually touch it and feel it instead of just taking their word for it from some glitzy video. One last thing that's not even written in is with the videos, my personal opinion is I like the less fancy videos. Videos that are too fancy, especially where they don't really show the product working, is actually closer to snake oil than real advertising. They're basically selling you the dream of what they think it'll look like, and they spent money to trick you into thinking that it's maybe more than it should be. So the less fancy videos, the homemade one with the actual founder looking off to the side, in some ways obviously I make fun of them, but it's actually better than the overly produced Hollywood con man, snake oily, fancy one. Okay, so that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed these top 20-ish questions. And this is really my secret sauce on what I'm looking for when I'm doing a review. Obviously, I have some domain knowledge and experience in robotics and engineering and product design. But, I think if you just look at these same questions, especially with your backgrounds maybe different than mine, you can also get a good idea of what's good. And some of these things don't require any kind of robotics knowledge. Too good to be true is generally easy to figure out. Warranty, obviously, some things like that. And these things you can tell just by looking. Okay, so that's it. See you guys next time here on Go Kick Me. Do give us a like and a subscribe. We need more subscribers. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter at Go Kick Me, and also GoKickMedia.com. That's GoKickMedia.com. Okay, see you next time. Bye.